So this movie is about formatting with colors and fill effects and patterns. We're going to talk first about the font and the fill colors and where that functionality can be found in Excel. We're going to talk about the color models, the RGB and the HSL color models. We'll then look at patterns. There's some preset patterns that we can apply in Excel. And then finally, we'll look at some fill effects. So formatting, colors, fill effects, and patterns. There is a few different places that we can find the functionality to color either the font or the cell itself, the fill color. It can be found in the font group with this drop down. That's the fill color, and this is the font color. We can double click a cell, select some of the text, and get the mini toolbar where we can change the font color. Can't change the fill color, but we can right click and get the shortcut menu, and with it we get a toolbar above the shortcut menu where we can change the fill color and the font color. And finally, we can launch the Format Cells dialog box where on the font tab we can change the font color, and on the fill tab we can change the color of the fill. So I'm going to cancel out of that, and we're just going to work out of the font group since the command buttons are right there. I have a cell selected that contains some text. I can change the font color by selecting the color from this gallery where I have three choices. I can choose a theme color, I can choose a standard color, or I can go to more color options, which we're going to do in a second. Briefly, the theme colors, for which we'll cover in another movie in depth, are color choices that when applied to your cells allow you to change to a different theme, and that new color scheme will be applied to the cells that you selected a theme color for. You can create your own themes, and you can apply these theme colors across to different Office applications. So you can have a standardized look for all of your documents, regardless of which application they are generated from. The standard colors are just what you see. Those are the selection choices, kind of a narrow range. The more color options, as I said, we'll get to in a second. So I'm going to change the color of this font to something else. Let's pick that one. And when I do that, a couple of things happen. One is obviously the font color changes. The second thing that happens is when I display that gallery again, the color that's applied to that cell is boxed out with a little red square. So in this way, you can tell which color is applied to this cell. And the third thing that happens is Excel memorizes the font color that you applied last. So you can select another cell with some more text and left click that icon and apply the exact same color to more cells. So the other color options. And these other color options are universally available anytime you can apply color to anything. Whether it's a tab color, a font color, a fill color for a cell. And we're going to get there by left-clicking the drop-down for the font color and selecting more colors. We're going to take a look at the standard colors first. There's a honeycomb structure here that has a gradient kind of color scheme that you can kind of pan over and make a selection. And it'll show you in the lower right-hand corner the new choice versus the current choice. You can also choose from an array of colors that range from black to white. So there's a grayscale here at work that you can choose. So that's one of the more advanced options for color choices. The other choices have to do with the color models. The color model currently displayed is RGB, red, green, blue. Each one of these colors, these primary colors, red, green, and blue, has a setting that ranges from 0 to 255. So what that means is that there are 255 times 255 times 255 color combinations that you can select from, which is over 16.5 million choices. And they range from, I'm going to cancel that, all black to all white. And red would be 255 on the red line, and green and blue would be set to 0. Green would be 255 on the green line, the other two colors set to 0, and so on. So I can select one of these, and we're not going to fill all of this out, but go to More Colors, Custom, and set red to 255, and set green to 255, apply that, and we get a yellow font color, which you can barely read. So I'm going to do a fill color in black so you can read that font. The other color model, and we'll pull up the dialog box, is HSL, which is hue, saturation, luminosity. Hue is the color itself. Some of the color hues are shown on this worksheet. Red is 0, orange is 20, yellow is 40, and so on. The second setting is saturation, which has to do with the contrast. 0 is gray, and 240 is the pure color. The last setting, luminosity, has to do with the brightness. 240 is white, 120 is the pure color, and 0 is black. So each one of the colors that are applied into your worksheet will have a setting on both of these color models. So if you want to find out exactly what color has been applied either on the font, the fill, or the tab, you can go to one of these scales and duplicate that color exactly. So patterns, I'm going to cancel out of that and launch the Format Cells dialog box and go to the Fill tab, where we have a drop-down box that displays 18 different patterns. These patterns can be useful, but you got to be careful with them because some of these patterns, as you can imagine, are so dense that it's difficult to read text that might be in the cells. But we can apply one of these patterns, like this one, into the cell and also change the color of the pattern. So this is a formatting option that you can use judiciously to enhance the visual appearance of your spreadsheet. The last thing that we can do is apply some fill effects. And I'm going to go to the dialog box launcher again, go to Fill, and left-click Fill Effects. The fill effect really comes down to being able to apply a gradient in a direction that you choose. Top to bottom, left to right, diagonal. And it involves selecting two colors or one color. Let's go with green again. Selecting a direction for the gradient and then applying that to the cells. So once again, a judicious use of this can provide some graphic enhancement to your worksheet and sort of some depth to the displayed text. So that was formatting with colors, fill effects, and patterns. We looked at the different places we can access that functionality to color the font and the fill color for the cell. We looked at the color models, RGB, red, green, blue, and HSL, hue, saturation, luminosity. We took a look at the 18 patterns that we can apply into a cell, and we can also color those patterns. And then we looked at the fill effects, which really come down to being able to apply a gradient in a cell or a range of cells.